of your favorite recipes.
Simply Food.
You should know by now that you're in for a treat.
Simply Food.
There's no other channel where you'd rather be.
Simply Food.
Seafood, pasta, cakes, and pies. Sing and laugh and even cry. Like and share and hit subscribe. Simply Food by TY.
What's up, you guys? It's your boy Simply Food by TY, and welcome back to another episode of Absolutely or Absolutely Not, where I'm going to be trying out some of the recipes of some of my favorite celebrity chefs and YouTube chefs. And today we're making a strawberry pie by the Preppy Kitchen. Now, as you guys can see, I already have my pie shell already here and ready to go. If you guys want the full recipe on how to make a delicious buttery and flaky pie shell, just click on that link that just popped up on my screen, and that will give you the full recipe on how I made this pie crust. So what I'm doing right now is just finishing this off by removing the pie weights and the parchment paper, and now I'm going to give it an egg wash so that I can put this back in the oven and get it golden brown. Before I place this back in the oven, to make sure that I prevent any bubbling or, the pie crust rising in the center, I'm going to take a fork and I'm just going to poke a few holes in the pie itself, but not going all the way through. I don't want to break the shell, but I do want to make sure that the air has somewhere to escape. I'm going to wrap it up in some aluminum foil around the edges to make sure that my pie crust doesn't burn on the edge. I'm going to pop it in the oven at 425 degrees for 15 minutes, then reduce it to 375 for an additional 10 to 20 minutes, or until the color of my liking. I'm going to allow that to cool, and now it's time for us to get into the main attraction, which is the strawberry filling. So let's get to it. Alrighty, you guys, so like I said, I'm going to be making a strawberry pie. This recipe comes courtesy of the Preppy Kitchen, of course. I'll leave his original recipe down below. Now, I will let you guys know right off the bat, I am following his recipe almost to a T. The only difference is that in his recipe, he calls for 2.5 pounds of strawberries. I ended up having to use 4 pounds of strawberries. Now, that could definitely be because I might have used a bigger pan than what he did. I used a 9-inch deep dish pan. So that will definitely vary depending upon how big of a baking dish you're using. So just keep that in mind. There's going to be some other little things that I would have tweaked, and I'll let you know about that a little bit later on in the video, okay? So what we're going to do now is, now that we got our strawberries washed, sliced, and diced, I have them in separate things in the back, but I'll let you guys know why they're separated in a bit. But for now, what we're going to do is we're going to zest about 1 tablespoon worth of lemon zest. Then we're going to slice those in half, and you want to end up with about 1/4 of a cup of lemon juice. Now, when you're making stuff like pies and stuff like this, you guys, you definitely want to make sure you're using fresh, also, if possible, organic. You want to use the best of the best because, pies don't really have that many ingredients. So you really want to make sure that you're starting off with great ingredients to begin with, because that truly will make the biggest difference. Now, one thing I will say about this recipe, in my personal opinion, I think that the strawberry jam, based off of solely his recipe, I think it is a bit too loose for my liking. And the reason why I say that is because he suggests that you add in 1/2 cup of water, 1/4 a cup of lemon juice, 3 tablespoons of cornstarch, and 1 tablespoon of lemon zest, 3/4 cup of sugar. Now, all of that is great except for one thing. In my personal opinion, I think the 1/2 cup of water is unnecessary. And the reason why I say that is because strawberries are already going to have a lot of liquid in them to begin with. And the more the strawberries cook down, the more water is going to evaporate out of them, and that would have helped thicken it up. So in my opinion, I think by adding in the 1/2 cup of the water, following the directions, in my personal opinion, I think that made it a bit too runny. Now, if you want to follow his directions, just as I've done, but you still want to add the water, I would suggest either adding in more cornstarch or adding in some gelatin, okay? So that you can really make sure that when you slice that pie up, it stays nice and firm. So I've muddled it down. I've brought it up to a simmer for about 5 to 10 minutes. You want to allow that water to reduce and allow it to thicken up. But as I said, this didn't thicken up the way I personally would have wanted to. But next time when I make this again, I know exactly what needs to be done. And that's just omit that water. And if I still don't like it, add a little bit of gelatin, and that will immediately thicken it up, okay? So now what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and start filling up our pie shell. Our pie shell is nice and warm now. It's not really, really hot anymore. And we're just going to add in our beautiful fresh strawberries. Now, one thing I would suggest before you get too far into this recipe, I would taste a few of the strawberries just to see how they taste, see what their sweetness is like. You might end up with a beautiful batch of strawberries that might be extremely naturally sweet, so you might not need to add as much sugar. Or it could be vice versa, and you could have strawberries that are not the best or not the sweetest, I should say, and then you might need to add a little bit more sugar. So, just kind of, you can gauge that off of your own taste buds. As far as putting the strawberries in, there's no right or wrong way on how to put them in. You just want to fill it up. But as I said, this is a deep dish and this is a 9-inch pan. So that's the reason why I ended up almost using 4 pounds of strawberries versus the 2.5 that he suggested. So, just keep that in mind depending upon what size baking dish you're going to be using. Now I'm going to pour in our jam, which once again, as you pour it in, you can see how loose it is. In my personal opinion, I feel like it should have already been thicker than that to begin with. But, again, this is the joy of baking. You try out different recipes, you see what you like, you figure out adjustments you want to make because the taste of it was absolutely divine, okay? You want to put that in the fridge, you guys, and allow that to cool for about 8 hours, okay, before you slice it. Now, once again, because of the fact that this pie, or I should say the jam itself, is not as thick as I would particularly like it, when you slice this pie, it is going to run a bit. Now, some people said that they love it like this. Some people said they want it like this. But me, of course, I would want it a little bit thicker, but I topped it off with some whipped cream and some mint. So I will give this an absolutely, and I say go on ahead and give it a try. Look, I want to thank you guys for tuning in. Y'all babies stay cute and take care. Bye.
Slaying in the kitchen. Simply Food by TY. We hope that you enjoyed it. Simply Food by TY. If you haven't took the time, make sure you subscribe. Thanks for watching. Thanks for watching. Thanks for watching Simply Food.